Andrew, the topic we're picking up today is assessment. Now, that's a regular one for us because we do talk a lot about assessment. We think of the importance of understanding who it is and them understanding their own abilities as they go into work. But there's another area that we're concerned about, and that's the assessment of potential employees. You're a church planter, and you're going to put on your first paid staff member, or maybe it's your second, who knows. But how do you go about assessing that this person is actually going to be the right person to work, beyond just having the skills? How do you know that they're going to work in a church plant?
Yeah. Putting on your first staff member, your second staff member, I mean, you need to do it. We need to be thinking about growing our work, expanding our work. The way to do that's to apply more resource. People are a resource. We need to build the resource base, which means bringing people time into the work. We have to pay them. So we've got to do that quickly. The thing we're after is someone who will help us expand the work. And so we're looking for someone who will be an Ephesians 4 kind of person. That is not someone who does the work of ministry, but raises up others to do the works of ministry. So they've got to be a leader. They've got to be someone who can build teams, multiply themselves, and not just be doing the work. So I don't want to employ an adder. I want to employ a multiplier, which then begs some questions about where do I need to multiply? Where's the critical issues where's the growth engine of this church, where if I could just apply further resource, further multiplying resource, then I'll build a bigger platform to actually then further grow the work.
So let me see if I get that. Your first question you'll be asking is, where is the area that I most have to multiply? And that is going to be the key factor that I'm looking for in this person.
Yeah. So the key factor, that's,
beyond their Christian walk, obviously.
Yeah, that's right. So is it, typically what's happened in our churches, we've kind of thought the next guy's got to be the youth guy or the children's worker or the office person. Whereas I want to actually take a step further back and say, what really will build the platform in this work for the future, so that in 5 years' time we have more resource to employ and keep pressing for. And you've got to think hard about what will really give me the growth. Will a youth minister, what will be the key to facilitating further work and growth? For us, that's always the word ministries. And we tend to think, first and foremost, word ministries into young adult work, because if you can grow that area, you'll grow the base financially to actually further resource the work as it goes forward. So I'm looking for a leader, I'm looking for a multiplier, someone who will complement me in the task and not just be another me. And when you're early on in staffing, it is very much a marriage relationship. So it's got to be someone you get on with.
Well, I was going to ask you, because you said not just another me, there's another way that can cut too. Are you looking for somebody who's just like you, or are you looking for somebody who's different? And you say it's a marriage sort of thing. You tend to like those you like, who are like you, but are you actually looking for someone who's going to stretch you or test you?
No, not as your... Depends how robust you are, It's got to be someone that you will enjoy having with you working in this early stage, because there's not much opportunity to get away from each other. And your wives, you've got to make sure that the husband and wife, if it's a married guy...
of course, because your wife is part of your church planning team.
Very close.
Very close, and likewise this person, you've got to make sure the four of you are going to get on.
There's got to be a sense of click and connect. Now, so as you're going through the process of working out who that person is, you want to have they've got to be deeply grounded Christian. They've got to be theologically aligned. They've got to be aligned in your values, your ministry philosophy. Now, we've done a lot of that in the early years through long relationships where you see it. But as the years have gone on, and as we're now broadening the work, Geneva and planting, it needs to be more formalised. We use questionnaires. We do a quite extensive theological questionnaire, a ministry values questionnaire, where we take guys through all of this, and then interview processes. And we're looking, in the midst of all of that, I want to see someone who's loyal. I want to see someone who's got a good work ethic. I want to see someone who's good at conflict. So
Those are the three characteristics you think have really helped you over the years.
There's the big ones that come out of, and I want to have someone who's positive, has a positive frame of mind. The reality is there'll be lots of opportunity for conflict, and you want to know that someone handles that well. And part of an interview process is always, past experience is the best predictor of future performance. So I don't want to know what he thinks about conflict. I want to know what's happened, how he's dealt with it, and I want to hear the mood and manner in which he's managed leadership up.
So your antenna would go up when you hear that somebody, that last job didn't really work out well, and so that's why we're looking for this new job.
Yeah, totally. You're aware, of course, that
things happen.
That's right. That's right.
But if the conflict wasn't managed well, if the only thing was an exit strategy, you've got to ask yourself, how will they manage conflict in the future? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because I will have to push back and forward on this relationship. There will be things that they want to do they can't do. There will be points of difference between us, inevitably. How will they manage that? Will they manage that in cultivating a growing bitterness and politicising it amongst the group of people they're working with and gathering support for their position? Or will they ensure none of that happens? They'd rather die before they ever brought any of that division into church life or leave. You want to know that kind of thing, critically important. In all of this, one of the problems for us is that there's not a big queue at the door for ministry positions in church planting. And so
you find yourself not so much interviewing as trying to convince.
Yeah, all the time. No, well, yeah, it's often been the case that it's cast a vision wide actually would be worth leaving a more established ministry to come and be part of a risky venture. So you've got to make, you'll never get the perfect guy, but you do want to find some fundamentals that, theological alignment, loyalty, the values alignment, ability to EQ and ability to work intelligently, emotionally with others and with you.
Well, listen, there's one other aspect to it, and that's the idea of outcomes. I mean, you employ the person, and maybe they want some guideline too, and you probably want to be clear up front what you're expecting from them. I mean, are you an outcomes-based person when you're evaluating the successful employee? Do you sit there and go, well, look, we set these goals and we want to see that? Does that help, or is that harmful? What do you think?
In addition to all those other things, I do want to find out too whether the person who's coming, I'm considering, does themselves work to outcomes.
Oh, so even before you actually put outcomes on them, you want to know if this person knows how to set a goal and reach it.
Yeah. I want to see whether there's someone who thinks of their working ministry life as, I do my hours, I do the input, and I go home and it's all okay no matter what happens. Now, I want someone who knows what it's like to have to see something achieved and be the person that takes responsibility to see it achieved and live and die with it being achieved. I want to see that that's someone's character and way of operating. And then, as people come on into ministry, we in our context, I'd encourage elsewhere, you want to be clear about what outcomes, what difference we want to see your work make in this whole ministry. So it's not just come and be a friend with me. It's come and make a difference. What is that difference? What are the outcomes we expect? Now, that doesn't mean that, if those outcomes aren't achieved, that someone's failed, but it is a direction and a way of thinking. That
you're saying it's a compass. I mean, you can't actually work out if you're moving in any particular direction if you don't have them.
Yeah. I expect someone who is in ministry to make a difference. What difference is that going to be? Now, we call them KHIs. We never call these things KPIs. Sorry, what's the distinction? Key performance indicators, a dreadful way to think about ministry. KHI, key health indicators, is the way we tend to talk together. What are the indicators of health that we want to see achieved across our ministries? And as we bring health to the ministries, we expect them to be further outcomes of growth.
Andrew, this has just been fascinating talking about hiring. It intimidates me, the idea that I might ever try and work for you. But that's thanks very much for sharing. And look, we'll put on the usual email so that people can actually add their own questions or thoughts later. Thanks.